Well, the Optus CEO, Kelly Bayer Rosmarin, dodged questions about whether she intends to resign from her role this week in a fiery 2-hour Senate hearing on Friday into, of course, the network outages last week that affected some 10 million customers nationally. Here she is.
Is it your intention to resign?
Senator, I'm sure you can appreciate my entire focus has been on restoring the outage issue.
Could I just ask you to answer that question?
And it has not been a time to be thinking about myself.
Could you address that question? Are you intending to resign?
I thought I answered the question.
Now, there are reports she could step down as soon as this coming week. I mean, she's obviously presided over one of the nation's worst outages for a telco, one of the worst data breaches in recent history. There's plenty of pressure on the CEO, but you watch her there, Liz, it's like she's quaking in her boots. Like she actually sounded like she had a quiver in her voice.
Well, she should. This is the woman who was literally tweeting today, the day of the outage, being like, everyone, check online for an update. Check the app for an update. Nobody can check anything, lady. Not to mention the photo shoot she still indulged in that very day. So to hear her talking to the committee like, now is not a time to make this about myself. Lady, while people were having to shut their business because they couldn't do business, one woman that we know of, and they sadly may have been others, missed out on saying goodbye to her mum, who passed away that day because the hospital were trying to get in touch with her and say, hey, now's the time, and she didn't get to say goodbye to her mum. While all this havoc was being wreaked, you were having a photo shoot, so don't tell us, oh, look, no, now's not the time to make it about myself.
Well, it'd be a pretty extraordinary effort, wouldn't it, Kel, if she were to survive this? I mean, how do you have two such catastrophic incidents and not get the arse? I mean, Singtel, which is the owners of Optus, have been in town, the board has been in town on both occasions when you had the data leak and this major blow-up.
Look, I don't want to be ageist. I don't want to be ageist about this, but how old is she? I mean,
what does it matter?
I actually think you actually need some miles on the clock. You need a few grey hairs. I don't care who it is. In any leadership position, a few grey hairs, or a whole lot of grey hairs, if you like.
Are you gunning for the job, Kel?
So I'm going to be ageist and say, I'm sorry. No. I know Gen Z think they're ready to do everything. They can run the world now. They can't. And I'm sorry. She looks like that, doesn't she?
I don't mind her age. As long as she's competent, no one would care.
Correct. And it's not even that. It is she didn't learn from last time. Last time was not that long ago. Their comms and crisis management was absolutely appalling after the data breach. And with what happened last week, it evidently hasn't got any better. Props to the communications minister who was out doing Optus CEO's job because she was nowhere to be seen and then popped up on local ABC radio for a bit of a chin wag, still with not really much information, and then disappeared again. How on earth, after last time, was a protocol and strategy not put in place to deal with this in the event that something else happened, which started with major national coverage to explain to customers, to explain to basically the entire country, really, because everyone's affected one way or another, what has happened, that they're dealing with it and what to do in the meantime.
Yeah, your point.
Yeah, we've got to go to a break, but just very quickly, Kel.
Your point is that she kept telling them to do the wrong thing. What you do is you go to old-fashioned radio. The tranny still works. She needed to be on the air telling people what was happening and what to do.
Well, they couldn't look it up on the
Radio for the win.
The tranny still works is the name of my favourite musical.
Fantastic.